What is up, friends? The very first South Park Paramount Plus special dropped on Thanksgiving, and wow, that was wild. If you missed it, or are completely unaware that this special even exists, earlier in the year, Matt Stone and Trey Parker signed a massive deal to deliver 14 specials to Paramount Plus. Yep, 14. This is the first one, and it's a full 60 minutes long, and they're delivering another one next month. But wow, I'm pretty excited about the risks they're taking with this first one. If you missed it, the South Park post-COVID special jumps forward 50 years and showcases all the kids from South Park as 50-year-olds, and also showcases a pretty bleak future. So, spoilers ahead. Also, if you like the South Park breakdown, I do a ton of other South Park videos on my channel, and you might like them, so check them out. Okay, so the most important thing to break down is adult Kyle's full-on beard. I mean, look at that thing. I'm 90% sure that Kyle could use today's sponsor, Manscaped, the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Manscaped offers so many great tools and formulas for the big three odor zones. Baby, we're talking body, butt, and balls. They hooked me up with this sweet box of stuff from their all-in-one Performance Package 4.0, and man, the packaging is slick. It's filled with all kinds of good stuff. This is the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer. It's such a sleek design. It's their 4th generation electric waterproof trimmer. Plus, it has advanced skin-safe tech, so it reduces nicks and cuts when you shave. Also, this thing is waterproof. Could it get any better? It's got a cordless charging system you can fit right in this cradle. Plus, it has this cool travel lock feature. Hit that button 3 times rapidly and it will not buzz while it's packed away in your luggage. Plus, they've got great deodorant and toner for, well, for your balls. And this weed whacker tool is great for your nose and ear hair. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code Cellos at checkout. Manscaped. Always use the right tools for the job. So one of the things that I said initially when they announced these 14 South Park specials is that I really hope they do something unique and different with them. I didn't really see the point in doing these specials if they were just going to feel like the same specials we got on Comedy Central over the past year, and fortunately they absolutely swung for the fences with this premise, and not just conceptually. Aging up every single character and moving the series into the future is a huge endeavor. It means that they had to design aged up models for literally every kid that they used in this episode, and old people designs for all the characters who were adults before. This isn't just a super long episode of South Park that they produce in a week as usual. This feels like a huge undertaking. Speaking of the aged up kids, they did such a great job with these character designs too. They seem to base a lot of their facial features on the characters' parents while still retaining a lot of what made the kids unique. They did a really great job. Kenny's design is hilarious too. He basically looks like Dr. Jacoby from Twin Peaks. I loved this. And let's be real, Kyle and Stan are basically Matt and Trey. I mean, look at this comparison. I love that Tweek and Craig are seemingly still together in this too. That was a nice little touch. And I was not ready for the revelation that Cartman is now Jewish and has an entire Jewish family, which leads to major skepticism from Kyle, understandably. And I'm gonna be honest, even though Cartman is seemingly a changed man in this special, I'm just waiting for the rug to be pulled out, revealing this was all part of some evil, shitty Cartman plan. If there's one thing that South Park has taught me, it's that Cartman never changes. As I mentioned before, this special showcases a bleak future for South Park, and not just for the world, for the characters too. This is basically the most pessimistic possible look at our future. The pandemic is still raging, every single store and institution has premium subscription add-ons. There's Best Buy Max, Ross Dress for Less Plus, TJ Maxx Max, Lamps Plus Plus, Sea Life Aquarium Max, even South Park Elementary Plus. Kids at the park all wear VR headsets instead of actually playing. It's rough. One of my favorite things they did throughout the special is have people continually talk about how they're in the future and what things have changed because of it, with the characters sort of just saying, yeah dude, we know.
Here in the future, we've all decided meat is wrong.
Yeah, we know.
But my absolute favorite thing about the future is the goddamn doorbells.
Apparently in the future, all doorbells sing, sing, sing.
Yeah, I fucking know.
But as I mentioned earlier, the future is pretty bleak for the characters too. The entire premise is about solving one mystery. Who killed Kenny? Which to me is just a genius premise building on the entire history of the series, but on top of that, it just brings an entirely unique tone to this special. It doesn't really feel like your typical episode of South Park, in part because all the characters are adults now, and also in part because they're just really leaning into this conspiracy mystery. It almost feels like this is the beginning of some kind of a sequel series to South Park. It's telling its own story in a new setting, but builds on some of the details we knew from the series. It ties in the stuff from the Tegrity Farms arc, like the fact that Randy started the pandemic during his trip to China, as showcased in the pandemic special, and also the fact that Sharon fucking hated Tegrity Farms. Though this leads to maybe the bleakest aspect of the entire special, the revelation that Sharon tried to divorce Randy, leading to Stan setting the entire farm on fire, which killed Shelly, who Randy had locked in the barn, and then Sharon kills herself. Fucking brutal, man. Stan and Randy blame each other for what happened to their family. But Randy is also trying to recreate his own COVID cure that was showcased in Pandemic Special, which, if you recall, is obscenely disgusting. But there are other great small details too. There's a scene where Kyle is sitting on the toilet wishing that someone could help them, basically hinting at a Mr. Hanky reappearance like the old days, but then it's just regular poop in the toilet. I also loved that Cartman's youngest kid has a Clyde Frog binky. This is so cute. Clyde Frog was Cartman's favorite toy until the episode 1%, which I think is a crazy underrated episode. In that one, Cartman systematically kills all his own toys in an attempt to force himself to grow up, but disguises it as a murder mystery to solve. Speaking of murder mystery, let's jump back to Kenny. In the years following the vaccination special, Kenny has become an eccentric philanthropist scientist, and it seems he was murdered because he was getting closer to discovering a way to end the pandemic. But this starts to venture into full-on sci-fi territory, which I do love. Kenny is determined to travel back in time to stop the pandemic from ever happening, but the big twist is that his real motivation is restoring his friendship with Kyle, Stan, and Cartman, who he blames for splitting up their friend group.
And became argumentative, combative, pessimistic assholes.
So this ultimately does end up being a pretty significant follow-up to the vaccination special, at the end of which the boys decided they shouldn't be friends anymore. But I also think that this is commentary on the ways people have started treating each other throughout the pandemic. So many charged opinions have stemmed from this major event, and it's absolutely torn friendships and families apart. I think it's kind of nice that Kenny's real motivation is personal. He just misses his friends and his friendships.
He spent his whole life trying to fix your broship and then realized this was the only way because you guys suck.
I also love the revelation that Kenny actually succeeded in going back in time. So I really like this concept, but I think my only concern is that it might reverse what excited me about the end of the vaccination special. At the end of that episode, with the friend group splitting up, it felt like we might get some interesting changes to the status quo moving forward in the series. And while I love what they're doing with this Paramount Plus stuff, I'm worried that a time travel story might just lead to them going back in time and fixing everything, leading back to another typical season of South Park when they return on Comedy Central. But it's also hard to say if they're going to go this direction. This special also seems to hint that Kenny discovered something about a secret organization or secret, I don't know, something that is controlling everything in the world and in South Park. And I'm curious if they're actually referencing the major fourth wall break from the vaccination special. Basically a revelation that the entirety of South Park is manipulated by animation tools and creators and writers. It's a fourth wall break, like I said. But it's also possible that this is just an entirely new mystery. The special makes some other interesting commentary too. Jimmy is now a late night talk show host, which I think conceptually is hilarious, but they make it commentary about woke humor, or basically the idea that wokeism is preventing comedians from being able to actually tell jokes. It's definitely something that a lot of older, edgier comedians and writers take issue with. The thing is, I think South Park actually excels when it isn't punching down. So many of the funniest concepts in South Park aren't rooted in anything offensive. It's oftentimes just a conceptually genius series. I also think that, with exceptions, the series is generally pretty good at having purpose behind its offensive humor when it does go that route. The execution of this was pretty funny though, with Jimmy seemingly setting up what is looking to be an offensive joke, but delivering an anti-punchline that's just complimenting the groups of people he's quote-unquote joking about. They also made some funny commentary about anti-vaxxers, pretty much condemning it, which is sure to make a bunch of the fan base angry. There's one single character in South Park, Clyde, who hasn't been vaccinated, and because of this, South Park is fully quarantined by the military. It's a not-so-subtle commentary on the fact that unvaxxed people are screwing over the rest of us. Also, thanks in advance for the dislikes, anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a personal choice.
I do have to say, my absolute favorite detail is what they've done with Butters, but it also made me feel so stupid. I knew that when they hinted that Kenny had been in contact with someone at a mental institution, it was going to be Butters, but I somehow did not put together the big Victor Chaos reveal at the end. Obviously being that they were mispronouncing Chaos. Professor Chaos is basically Butters' version of Dr. Doom, aka Victor Von Doom, so Victor Chaos is just so ridiculously obvious I can't believe I didn't figure out. The reason I figured out that it would be Butters in the mental institution is because 1, he hadn't shown up yet in the special, and 2, because back in the episode City Sushi, they did an entire story about Butters having multiple personalities and needing to see a psychiatrist for it. I figured this was an extension of that storyline, which it still might be. Maybe Butters is just fully embraced replaced his Professor Chaos persona in the future. I think that the thing that makes it hard to fully judge the post-COVID special so far is that it really feels like half a story. I loved what they set up here, but it's clear that the payoffs to a ton of these setups is coming in December with the next special. But what I do love is just how different this thing feels compared to the previous Comedy Central specials and the show itself. It's still unmistakably South Park, but they really went all out to make this a unique type of story on Paramount+. If I had to guess, I would say that the follow-up to this special will wrap up this future storyline, and they'll go back in time and revert things back to normal, but I honestly wouldn't mind if all 14 specials ended up being a sort of parallel future series where we just continue to follow the older versions of the South Park gang. It would really make the Paramount stuff feel separate from the Comedy Central stuff. That being said, even if this isn't what they do, this does give me a ton of optimism that they're going to be doing really unique things with these specials. Even if we only get 2 future storylines, I fully believe that the crew will end up doing more unique stories that don't quite fit in with the typical season of South Park. The cast of characters is so huge in the show, and there are so many opportunities to tell different stories. I expect that stories like the Imagination Land trilogy or the Coon and Friends trilogy would have been one of these Paramount specials if those episodes hadn't been written 10 to 15 years ago. It would be awesome to see a Butter's Very Own special, or a Woodland Critter Christmas special, or hell, let's do a story about the Goth Kids, who cares? Maybe even more just straightforward parody work. Regardless of what they decide to do, I think these new specials have a lot of promise and opportunity for these unique stories. The second part will drop next month, and then it sounds like we'll be going down to South Park for the actual season 24 next year in 2022. It will be really interesting to see how they balance these specials and the actual show. There's going to be a lot of South Park to consume next year. But what did you think of the post-COVID special? Do you like the future premise and aged up characters, or did it feel too different to you? What do you expect from future specials? Let me know below in the comments. And remember, I have a ton of South Park videos out, so check out those. And of course, stay tuned for more. Peace.
Johnny to Cellos.